When I was discussing this recipe with my foodie friends, they were pretty skeptical. To be honest, so was I. I wasn't sure if the flavors were gonna work, but let me tell you, they work perfectly. Welcome to the Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. Today's recipe is for cracker toffee. Now, the cracker toffee you may be familiar with. You may have made it for years. It was very popular years and years ago. It's basically crackers with a brown sugar butter mixture on the tray. But where I get a little bit different here is with what I put on top. And the flavors might really surprise you, but it turns out delicious. So let's get started. Super easy to make this. It's really festive and fun. You can decorate it any way you want. But these flavors that I'm using, spot on. All right. So let me move these away. I'll talk about those in a minute. That's the fun part, right? And I have some marshmallows in here, but I've got them covered so they don't dry out. All right, let's put all this down. The only thing we need to start with is a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. We're gonna put that right into a little saucepan on the stove. And then you need 1 stick of butter. And just put that right in there. Now there's a little bit like that sticking here. I'm gonna use that for something else, so I just leave it there. I'm gonna turn the stove on medium heat. And then let the butter melt and the brown sugar start to melt in with the butter. While that's happening, because that just takes a minute or so, let's get our tray ready. What I'm using is a quarter pan, okay? So like there's half pan size or quarters pan size and full pan size. This is a quarter pan, it's 9 by 13. Any pan will work, you can use different size. You could double this by doubling all the ingredients. It's gonna work perfectly fine. What I do here, and this is quite a bit. Let me put some more on here and then get that in there. What I do is take the leftover butter and put it right in the corners here. And I'll show you why in just a minute. You don't need a lot, and it's optional, but I think it really helps. Then take a piece of parchment paper and press it into your tray using the butter as sort of a glue. And it just sort of holds it there and makes it a flatter, easier surface to work with. Okay, that's it. Now our pan's ready. Saltine crackers are traditional in this cracker toffee recipe, but you could also use Ritz. If you have those Ritz butter crackers, they work as well. More decadent even. All right, so we're gonna take enough to line the tray in a single layer, which is not even a full sleeve. Probably about 3/4 of a sleeve. So just line them up in here. Okay, once your crackers are lined up and kind of close together right now, then we can move on to finishing up our brown sugar and butter mixture. Once the butter starts to melt, stir continuously with either a high heat spatula or a wooden spoon. You don't want to use metal because that will change the temperature of your butter and your brown sugar. Allow the brown sugar to melt into the butter. You might see it separating at first, but keep stirring. Lower your heat if needed, and it will come together in a nice smooth caramel sauce. Once that happens, then bring it to a boil so you can raise your heat if you need to. Bring it to a boil and let it boil until the entire top has little bubbles forming. Once the bubbling has gone across the entire surface and you let it bubble or boil for about a minute, then we're ready to pour our caramel. Essentially, that's what we just made, a brown sugar and butter caramel. Now we want to pour this over top of the crackers. I try to focus mostly in the middle here because I spread it out. I don't want too much to go over the edge. We want it to stay on the cracker. You do not need to rush with this. It's not gonna harden up on you, quick or anything like that. So don't worry about it. I do try to keep the crackers somewhat close together when I do this and just sort of inch over the caramel so it goes edge to edge. Okay, it does not have to be perfect. This is what mine looks like going in. It's perfectly fine. Now we're gonna put it in a preheated oven on 325 degrees Fahrenheit for between 8 and 10 minutes. When you see the crackers start to lift up and the whole top is real nice and bubbly, then we're ready to pull it out and get on to the next step. All right, there we go. So the whole top now has been bubbling for just about a minute or two, and just sit it on a cooling rack is fine, or a cutting board is fine. Now we're gonna sprinkle on our chocolate chips. This is 1 cup of dark chocolate chips, but you could use semi-sweet. You could even use white chocolate, it would be fine. I've never tried it that way, but it would be fine. And sprinkle them over in an even layer. Or as even as you can get, you know. Don't have to be exact, that's for sure. All right, then either cover with foil, or if you have another pan about that size or bigger, you can put the pan on top, or you could cover with foil. Either way is perfectly fine. It's gonna trap in the heat and melt those chocolate chips. Let it sit like this for about 4 to 5 minutes. Then we will spread, and I'll start talking about all these great additions that we're gonna put on top. All right, time to reveal. Now don't expect it to look like anything, because it really doesn't. It looks almost the same because the chocolate chips are softened, but they're not gonna melt. You've gotta spread them. What I like to use is an offset spatula that I use for cake decorating, but the same spatula that I use to make the caramel will work fine as well. So what I do is just gently go over the top and start to spread out the chocolate. Now the pan might still be a little too warm to like touch, so you might wanna have a mitt on if you need to turn the pan, which I recommend doing. You know, make it comfortable for you. Sometimes it gets a little bit harder when we get into little corners here if you don't turn the pan. So I'm gonna turn the pan right now, just like that, and continue spreading it all out. All right, there we go. We don't have to worry about it looking smooth or beautiful. It makes no difference because we're gonna top it with all of these different ingredients. Now, obviously mine is St. Patrick's Day themed with all these colors, right? The greens and the golds. So one thing I did not realize about the M&Ms that are the green kind is they're mint. And I was like, okay, that's weird. That's what I called my foodie friends. I'm like, okay, have you ever had caramel and mint together with chocolate? And they're like, no. Like, okay, I'm putting those flavors together in a recipe. And they're like, okay, keep me posted, which means I don't think it's gonna work out. Well, guess what? It is amazing. I can't even begin to tell you how good mint, caramel, and chocolate is together. I'm gonna have to create more recipes using that flavor combination. So anyway, so they're mint. And then I have mint Oreos, okay? Now, obviously, like if you're gonna do a different holiday, because you could make this basic candy and then decorate it any way you want, you're gonna have different flavors, okay? So you may not have the mint, you know, but I think around Christmas time you can get, ooh, peppermint stuff. Oh my goodness. I can't wait till Christmas, I'm gonna make that. All right, the mint Oreos, I just break into like 2 to 3 pieces. I'm not particular. Don't be particular about the way you do this. Don't try to sit here and analyze or measure or anything like that. You know if you're that kind of person, right? That you want everything to be exact. Don't do it. Just break them and throw them on top. Where they land is where they land. Big chunks, little chunks, it makes no difference. Now that's driving me crazy, but I'm not gonna worry about it. And then do the same thing with those mint M&Ms. And I used 4 cookies. I'm using 1/3 of a cup of these M&Ms. And like, there's a part of me that wants to make sure I get equal amounts of dark and light. And I just force myself to not do it and throw. Don't even look. Because yeah, I am that person that I was just talking about. Yay. All right, marshmallows. And that is because I like to kind of brighten it up some. And the two of the marshmallow, fantastic. Do the same thing, just throw them on top in all the little places where the other stuff didn't get. Try to get the marshmallows into the chocolate, just because if not, they're not going to stay on when we break it up. So I try to put those where the chocolate did not get. You know, the chocolate pieces did not get. Okay, that looks good. I'm not going to touch it. Okay. Gold, totally optional. These are just like little gold sugar balls. You can buy them, in any cake decorating store or Michael's or whatever. About a tablespoon or so. Just drop them wherever they go. This is so much fun. I mean, the kids would love it. Now, you will have to sweep your floor probably if you're anything like me. Did you hear that? One just fell. All right. Now, don't go overboard on these, okay? But they add that nice little touch of a pop of that gold. Don't add too many because they're tough, to eat. You don't want to bite into too many of them. And then if you want, go crazy with the sprinkles. These I got at Walmart. They're just confetti green. And just put it on so it covers even more. I mean, really, you can make it as festive as you want. And there we go. And now our St. Patrick's Day cracker toffee is done, and it goes into the refrigerator for about an hour. That will set everything up, and then we'll break it into bite-sized pieces, and I will give it a taste. After an hour in the refrigerator, we're ready to break it up into serving pieces. So just take it off the tray here, and then you can break them in as big or as small pieces as you want, okay? It's just gonna be one solid sheet of the cracker toffee. And I just try to go in here and break it up. I'd go little, so it serves more, but whatever you wanna do is fine. And I try not to get my hands too much onto this chocolate when I can help it. Oh, that's gonna be a good piece right there. Oh, that fell off. That's what you do. If anything falls off, eat it. Now there really is no way to break this so that it's even or anything. I mean, that's kind of half the appeal. It's just kind of cool little pieces here, because you can't really cut it. It won't really cut very well. One thing I will say too, it came off too. One thing that I will say is once you have it cooled, don't let it sit at room temperature if your house is humid. Put it into a bag, okay? So that the humidity can't get to it and soften up the crackers and the toffee. I made that mistake. I left it out on the counter while it was raining, and it got kind of soft. I wasn't as happy with it as I was when I first made it. All right, there we go. You get the gist, right? Break it up. And there you go. We've got our cracker candy. All right, I picked a piece that actually had everything in it. So you can see that the brown sugar and the butter, as it's baking, bakes under the cracker, okay? So the cracker then is in the middle. It is the best salty, sweet flavor. And then, of course, we've got the mint. Unbelievable. That was the marshmallow. So good. And an M&M, I should have said. Kind of reminds me of a buttermint. I mean, it's just so, so good. It's very unique. Oh my. Delicious. So next time you want a really quick and easy dessert, make some of the cracker toffee and then get real creative with the toppings. I bet the peanut M&Ms would be good, or the peanut butter M&Ms would be good. You could put pretzels on top. I mean, there's so many different combinations you can try, but definitely give the mint a try. It's amazing.